Good evening, everyone. This is a number 5 Type 18 Stanley Bailey jack plane. That is a mouthful to say, and it is a great little tool. I was able to acquire this tool in a lot with some other woodworking tools and some lumber from an old woodworker. His property had been purchased, and I was part of the crew to clean out his property and the house and some of the other things. Luckily, his family had came through and got anything of sort of sentimental value, and then they just sold the property kind of as it was. He was an old woodworker, and I was able to go through his shop and kind of rescue several tools and different things in lumber that was just going to end up being thrown away or maybe sold in an auction or something like that. I'm not really sure what the final plan for all that stuff was. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that I got some really awesome tools and got some projects to work on and learn a few things. So this jack plane is something that I had planned on restoring and putting into daily use. I shot the bulk of this video probably 6 months ago, and then just recently got around to finishing it. You've actually probably seen me use this plane in a few videos previously if you've watched those. This guy, just a woodworker, he used a lot of different tools. This one was a 40s era tool, according to what I can see on the dating of it. And it was just, in used condition, a little bit of rust here and there, but primarily in really good shape. So the plane was missing a couple of parts, one being the plane iron and then the other being the chip breaker and the screw to join those two together. But other than that, it was all there, mostly original parts that I can tell. I'm not an expert in this. Just wanted to fix it up, like with all the other tools, just to have something to use. I've just been getting into using hand tools to build things with, the idea being that they're not loud, they're not obnoxious. I can actually I can use the tools when my kid is asleep, unlike a bandsaw or a planer or a sander that just make a lot of noise. So this is a little bit more relaxing process for me. And I mean, the restoration itself is very relaxing and enjoyable for myself. As you can see with these close-up shots, no part was in really bad shape. Everything was something that we could fix. Most of his tools he painted orange to denote that those were his tools. And a couple of the ones I've done, I just kind of did a clear coat over the way he had painted it because I liked it. But with this one, I kind of go a little fancier. This is not like an extremely rare or super nice tool. It was made in the millions, so I'm going to make it mine. On the lever cap there, I had some mystery goo on it. I didn't really know what it was, and it just goes away magically too, which is really interesting. Some of the adjustment screws in the frog were in rougher shape from a rust perspective, but nothing bad at all. The slots and all the screw heads were in really good shape and hadn't been damaged, so it made my life a lot easier. The plane body itself was in really good condition. For something from the 40s that had likely been sitting for a few years even before I got it, and then when I got it, it sat for a few years. Unfortunately, the plane doesn't fit in my little tub that I use, so I had to think about it. The cool thing about evaporust is that if you have a part that needs to soak, but it doesn't all fit in your tub or your container, you can actually just soak a rag and lay the rag on the rest of the exposed metal that you have, and the evaporust will do their job. They also have a gel that you can brush on too. I haven't tried that yet. This was the first time I tried the rag trick, and it worked really well. Evaporust is really tremendous. Every time I pull parts out, I'm surprised how well it works. And you can see even on the lever cap there, that mystery goo just went away. And it has a weird property where it seems to brighten up paint as well. The evaporust, the true magic in this world. So after that, you take it to the wire wheel, and I'm using brass wire wheels here, and basically that's just going to put a little bit of a polish on all of the metal parts and the brass parts and make it look a little nicer. From there, I kind of just did a rough sanding of the toe and the handle. If I changed anything about this project, it would have been I should have done a better job sanding the wooden parts to make the paint look a little nicer. Now, what I'm showing off here is my little jig that I created for sharpening. Sharpening is a skill that I'm trying to learn how to do, and what I notice is I don't like to measure a billion different times. So if I can make a little jig to make my sharpening easier, that helps out, and it works out really well. And I put a couple magnets in there so that way it kind of holds the blade in place. I have one for chisels, and then I have one for plane irons. The assembly or the reassembly of the plane went really easy. After cleaning everything up, the parts just look nice and new. The one thing you might notice in here is that everything is dusty. The reason being is, yeah, the plane was missing a few things, so I had to order some things from eBay. And then it was just a project that sat on my bench for a few months while some other things in my life got in the way of coming in and getting the plane put back together. I knew I was going to need it for an upcoming project, so I needed to get it reassembled and get all the parts together. So kind of pushed me to get everything done, which was nice. You know, my general idea on all these tools that I've been restoring is that I want tools that I'm going to use, and so that's sort of the purpose. They're not going to be something that's just going to sit on the shelf. Everything is to be used. When I'm putting things together, for the most part, I just want to get them clean, rust-free, assembled correctly. But with this plane, I will say that I did repaint everything with a flat black versus kind of a glossy black, which was originally done. All right, and you can see that is the new chip breaker and adjustment screw for the chip breaker. It's weird to have new parts with old parts in my brain, but I didn't really have time to go hunting down vintage parts for this and wasn't really too concerned about it. You know, just wanted it to function. I mean, that's the thing. I knew I was going to use this plane, so more than anything, I just needed this to work. And then, as you see here, when I put on the lever cap, I actually painted the background of the Stanley logo with black instead of the orange/red that it was. I just thought it looked a little nicer. And something about the brass parts next to the black body of the plane, it just looks really nice. But yeah, just kind of admiring my work. Again, I had to put a new chip breaker on and a new plane iron. But that wasn't too bad, and it was, you know, that's the great thing about eBay. Once I got everything adjusted to kind of what I was looking for from a shavings perspective, I kind of gave it a test. The idea with this plane is going to be something I'm going to use on rough cut lumber. Plane works really well. I've used it already on several projects. I'm very pleased with it, and it's going to be something that I'm going to continue to use kind of moving forward. I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out. Thank you for watching.